boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Lukas, and Booner, who will be joining us in about 10 minutes. It's me and Klotzy to start off. Klotzy, shout out. We got a great show today. The doc joining the show. I got something to bring up. Ben Johnson, apparently, he loves Sam Howell so much, he didn't want the Commanders to draft a quarterback. Oh, apparently that was coming from a Commanders insider. That said that. So it's Sam Howell. Apparently, I mean, what are we doing here? So we'll talk. I have the video there, and again, like, I want to make this very clear. My problem isn't with the content creator. Of course, I think his name's Rio. No problem with him. No problem with the insider that said it. It's who we got the information from, Adam Peters. And I'm going to explain why in a couple of minutes when we get to it, why I'm frustrated. I talked about it today, just with the report itself. But how you doing today, Klotzy?
Doing great. Had to take down the hood. Felt like I was in Star Wars or something for a little bit. But great day. Fucking cold. Wish that could go away. But we are now 3 days away from the Lions hosting the playoff game, and I cannot wait. I know things are getting tense on social media. I even looked right before we started the show, and people are saying that Jaden Daniels already better than Jared Goff, things of that nature. So it's going to be a great game, at least the anticipation on the field. I think that Detroit Lions fans could be a little bit more happy than some are expecting, especially in Washington, but it's going to be a good game. A lot at stakes, obviously, not only in that game, but you look at the Rams and the Eagles, you look at the AFC, you get the Ravens and the Bills, and then the Texans and the Chiefs. There's going to be great football games going on Saturday and Sunday, so I cannot wait. It sucks because it's like now you're in the time where it's like you only have one more college football game. At least that means anything. They might be doing bowl season still. And now you have four this weekend, 2 the next. So we're going to do some quick. You have 7 more NFL games. So 8 more games total of meaningful football. So we got to appreciate it while it's here. It's weird not having Monday and Thursday night football. Miss it already, but it's the best time of football to be watching.
No, it is. I'm excited for this weekend, man. We'll be live for those that don't know. We're live every game day, pregame, watch party, postgame, Kool-Aid. If they win, which they will, all that. It's always on game day. We'll have on the street stuff as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. So if you don't know we do it, there you go. Be there Saturday night. If you're not going to the game, tune into the fellas. It's the next.
Me and Caleb will be downtown getting content. So even if you want to go downtown, I'm sure, like, again, even if you're not going to the game, if you go downtown Saturday during the day, I'm sure it's still going to be a blast. I can't wait to go down there, see some people down there. So it's going to be a good time. If you're not doing anything, go down there, hang out with some more Lions fans. You know how many people go downtown but don't actually go to the game? Like, sometimes that's honestly better because I know some people prefer kind of watching the game from a TV, not getting stuck in Ford Field and kind of get distracted easily. So there's a ton of good stuff to do downtown before the game as well. So make sure you go down there.
But we have some things to get to today. Like I said, one of them being this situation with Ben Johnson. There's a rumor going around that he wanted Sam Howell. Remember, and let me reflect back because I talked about this earlier. Let me give you a refresh, okay? Last season, Ben Johnson to the Commanders there was a point in time where it looked very likely. It looked like he was going to go to the Commanders. He took an interview. They had him as their number one guy. There was no denying that. No matter what Adam Peters says, they loved him. They were willing to fly to Detroit for a second meeting. It'd be safe to say the first meeting went well, right, Klotzy? Like, he didn't.
I mean, if there's a second meeting, I'm assuming so.
Okay, so the rumor is I've even seen maybe Ben Johnson, he was unimpressive. Maybe they weren't impressed with him. I mean, I would say if you have a second interview and they're flying out to you, they probably like you. And I know they were talking to Aaron Glenn as well, so I don't want to discount that. But that's what it was last year. And Ben essentially hit Adam Peters while he was in the PJ, hit him with the, I'm returning. Sorry, and that probably, I would assume, ruffled some feathers, right?
Yeah.
Frustrated Adam Peters. I mean, he's a man. Everyone has an ego. It fractured his ego a little bit, and he was probably frustrated. Then they went and hired Dan Quinn, which Dan Quinn's a great coach. I don't want to say
it worked out for him in the long run.
Yeah, it worked out, but that was now that's the situation. Now let's hear from I believe I should know who this is, and I know it's Rambling with Rio. He does Commander stuff, so shout out to him. I don't know who the insider is, but the man on the right, he's a big time Commanders like insider reporter, well known within the fan base. I don't know. I want to say his name is like, I don't even going to assume, but you know who he is. Okay. It's disrespectful.
I'm interested to see what the name was that you were about to try to like throw out there and see if it stuck.
I'm not familiar with him, but here's the clip. Let's take a listen and we'll give our reaction.
I don't know if it's been talked about publicly, but the story that I got, what happened was they were en route. Adam Peters and them were en route to Detroit for the interview.
Mm-hmm.
In conversation with Ben Johnson, it was brought up that Ben Johnson still wanted Sam Howell. That's who he wanted to be his quarterback for his offense. And, there's Carolina connections, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Peters was like, no, because they know who they're going to draft. And we all knew who they were going to draft. And he didn't want him. So if anybody should be upset, it should be Jake. So what I'm saying is, and kudos to Adam Peters for holding his guns and saying, no, we know who we're drafting. And that's who you're going to have to build with. And that's the story that I got. So it was Adam
wanted to roll with Sam Howell.
Yeah, it was Adam Peters that said turn that plane around. yeah, man. Yeah, it was Adam Peters said no. So we agree to disagree, and I wish you well. Turn this thing around. So yeah. So
okay. So, and again, I want to make this very clear because I respect people in the media. I respect whoever that was. I can't remember. It's terrible. I don't know his name, so that's on me. But I respect his work. I respect Rio. I'm sure he does a good job. It has nothing to do with them. Whoever told him that story, if it was Adam Peters, Lucas, we have the worst case of copium I've ever seen. This is a high dosage of copium. And I'll explain why, right? And I made the example today. It's like you're going up to a bar, single guy, trying to pick up a girl, okay? You're confident, you're feeling yourself, hit her with a pickup line. She says, no, I'm good. What do you go up to your boys and say? She wasn't, I mean,
she had a boyfriend.
No. She was all right. And she had like a weird, she smelled, it wasn't my type, maybe, all this stuff. You start coping. That's what this is, man. This is like Adam Peters did not like, and again, this is just me, my perspective. I don't talk to Ben Johnson. Adam Peters did not turn that plane around because, oh yeah, you want Sam Howell, boys, turn the plane around. No, he was on his way. He was on his way to Detroit for a reason. And Ben Johnson is the one who made him turn that plane around, or gave him the answer he didn't like. So like, and then Adam Peters, I bet he's spinning it like, oh yeah, like, we didn't need him, like he's not that good. I mean, he's good, but he's not that good. You guys would have loved Ben Johnson. That's where I'm at, Klotzy. It's all copium.
I mean, say this were true, and Ben Johnson did go, I want Sam Howell. I understand there's superstars out there, but I want Sam Howell. I'm turning the plane around just like Adam Peters was. I would have done the same thing, but that's not what happened. And I even will go to the reach of saying that I doubt Adam Peters ever even said this story. I'm sorry. That was way too entertaining. Like he was like, okay, yeah, like, and this is what I don't know. When people are like just telling like the truth and like something that they actually heard and they actually believe, it just comes out differently. I don't know. I didn't believe that for a second. I thought it was a great little wizard hat. It was a wizard hat moment, but I highly doubt Adam Peters even said that. Again, no disrespect to those guys, but I think that was just for clicks. That's all that simply was. I think if you're Ben Johnson and you're looking at Jaden Daniels. Maybe the Bears were trying to be too smart at that time, and they were to take Jaden Daniels number 1. They're interested with Caleb Williams, Drake May. Like, you're not looking at those guys and be like, give me Sam Howell after he just led the league in interceptions. I mean, you see what he's doing in Seattle. He looked like he never played football before in Seattle. My guy Clayton Tune would have looked better in that situation, and that's who Ben Johnson would have took. No, Ben Johnson, as smart as he is drawing up plays, he's even smarter to know, give me a rookie quarterback to develop with Terry McLaurin rather than Sam Howell, because we saw how that just went. So I think it's just a lot of smoke mirrors, smoke screens. That's what this was.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one grain of like actual substance here. Great entertainment, substance, no.
And I can't blame whoever the insider, the reporter was, because if I'm hearing it, let's say Brad Holmes said this and I was doing what he's doing, I'd be like, boys, like Brad Holmes just told me, like, I get it. Like, it's like, you got some inside info. I always ask, if you hear something, who said it and why would they say it? You have to know there's a reason. Like, if you hear something that applies to life, if Adam Peters says this, what's the point? Why is he saying it? Because he wants to cover his ass and be like, oh yeah, like, you're not going to be like, we failed to get Ben Johnson. Like, you're going to be like, well, yeah, I mean, guy like Sam Howell, like, you know, the North Carolina connection. There's a better quarterback coming out of North Carolina that season, right? That was Drake May. He's coming out of the draft. Yeah. So do I believe Ben was against Jaden Daniels? Dude, Ben is like, he is very smart offensively. I would hope, as good as he is as an offensive coordinator and as well as he knows offense, he would kind of know what it takes to be a good quarterback. I think his evaluation of Jaden Daniels, I don't believe I can't see Ben Johnson being like, you guys going to take Jaden Daniels? I don't know.
Deal breaker. Can't do it.
I don't know. I don't know a single person that did not like Jaden Daniels. Like, we had arguments who would be the best one. we never discussed him being bad. You know, that's not,
it was like injury, like
no, like that. Yes, like concerns, but like I've never where that's us. We're not Ben Johnson. Like, we're not coaching at the highest level in the NFL as an offensive coordinator. So when I saw this, it's game week, and on here on Crunch Time, it's been awesome because we've been doing a lot of Lions Commander stuff, and I'm seeing all these Commanders fans comment, which is great. Like, I love that. You know, we're being exposed to different fan bases, and they're watching some of our content. But even like Commanders fans, and I gotta say this too, man. I mean, I posted the video with us and Corey, and people are commenting like, these guys are cocky. It wasn't even cocky. I mean, I think the thing we said in that interview with Corey, and Corey was great. He didn't, pump his chest out and say Lions are going to destroy the Commanders. We talked about how it was a good draw. I mean, out of all the teams you could have drawn, the Commanders were literally the best draw based on seeding. So I don't know. I think Commanders fans this week, there's a sense I'm getting, Klotzy, where it's like, it's like I'm hearing a lot of chirping, and there's peace until there isn't. Okay, before we had this discussion earlier in the week, it's like, hey, shout out to the Commanders. We've been very complimentary and giving them a lot of credit. Now it's like, as we get closer to this game, Klotzy, I want the Lions to eviscerate these motherfuckers.
Great word.
I want them to destroy them. Just now, it's not nothing against Shane Daniels, nothing against Dan Quinn. The fans are making me want to do it. I'm Klotzy. I want the Lions to smoke them now. That's what I want.
That's how I got towards the end of the year with Vikings fans. They're annoying, but once they got to like 12 wins, like they thought they were something with Sam Darnold. And the Commanders, they got a quarterback. I will not deny that.
Absolutely.
They got a wide receiver. Will not deny that. Bobby Wagner. Marshawn Lattimore, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. Like, who are we going with here? I mean, I saw a graphic today. Somebody put up Diami Brown, the guy who just went off. Tim Patrick this year with the Lions has more yards than him all season. And this is Tim Patrick, who they acquired during the season. He has more yards than him. So I understand Commanders fans where they're at. Again, us as Lions fans, we've been there before. Absolutely. I know it's only like they're getting success. But this is clearly a team who's a year or two away from being in an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl. Defensively, they need to add pieces. Offensively, they need to have pieces. The Detroit Lions have to shit themselves and piss themselves to lose this game. They have to play the worst game they have all year long. And if you think that's going to happen with Dan Campbell as a head coach, with Aaron Glenn as a defensive coordinator after what he just did week 18, with Ben Johnson, the guy who apparently wanted Sam Howell. No, he didn't. That's why he's about to go win a Super Bowl with this offense. And you look at David Montgomery, like everything's aligning for the Detroit Lions to go to the NFC Championship game. Does that mean it has to be a 41-10 game? I mean, maybe that's what the Commanders did when they played with the Lions in the NFC Championship game last time. So I hope so, but realistically, I doubt that. But at the same time, this isn't an Eagles. This isn't a Rams. Like, this is a rookie quarterback and a first-year offensive coordinator, head coach, everything. This is a first-year everything for this team. Outside of Bobby Wagner, who's been there before, Zach Ertz, but those guys aren't going to be people who are striking down the Detroit Lions, who are biting kneecaps off the Detroit Lions. Like, let's relax, guys. Okay, Commanders, I believe you. You're going to be around for a while. I love what you guys are building, but you're at step 1, and it's a great step 1, but you got to get to step 2, 3, 4 before you're getting to the Super Bowl. Even as Detroit Lions fans, we haven't reached there yet, and there's a clear difference level of talent between the Lions and the Commanders. So,
well,
it's all right. I understand it, but it's ignorant.
And there is I've seen a lot of Commanders fans that are very like, hey, you guys are a great team. We're happy to be here. Like those people respect. There's comments. I've been getting some comments. Okay. And not that, I mean, in all seriousness, like I really don't read many of the comments. I'll read some on the videos to check and reply to people, but I try not to get obsessed with reading every single comment. You don't want to, get in your head about certain stuff. But I was reading these comments on the video today because a lot of it was Commanders. So now I'm interested. Now you got me. Now I'm like, okay, let me see what these people are saying. It's like, 0-16 Lions. Like, you guys you guys think you're all that. Dude, in the video with Corey, I don't know what content they're consuming. I can't speak for anyone else around the city. We've been really respectful. Now we're officially Klotzy. You know where we're at.
Where we at, Hefe?
BTA, belt to ass. That's where I'm at now. That's where I'm at now. Belt to ass. Speaking of belt to ass, let's welcome in Boone to the
great transition. Great transition there.
Hey, Boone, what's going on, baby?
I appreciate the Am I good? Am I frozen? I appreciate the transition.
Yeah, I don't know how. I just
BTA for Boone over here. Let's go.
Hey, what did you make of it, Boone? I know I want to get your opinion on it.
Of what? I didn't hear. I apologize.
That's okay. Did you see across your timeline at all the clip of the Commanders podcast? They had kind of a Commanders guy on, and he said
Rio.
Ben wanted Sam Howell to be their franchise quarterback and all this stuff. What do you make of all that?
I mean, I guess I saw it briefly. I didn't really read comments or go deep into it. And honestly, I did on my way home here. I was listening to you guys, and I looked up too. Like as soon as I got here, I didn't know you guys were still talking about this. By the way, I don't know. I heard Bobby Wagner. I thought it was like, what's going on? Bobby got dragged into this. Don't ever disrespect Bobby Wagner again. But the thing I was thinking about, like, I don't know when Adam Peters was hired as their GM, and I looked it up. It was like in the middle of January, and then Ben Johnson, I think, turned the job down end of January, early February. So the timeline, it's just such a fishy thing. Like, there's zero chance in the world that a GM would hop on a flight with, front office personnel, potentially with owners. I'm sure there was an owner on the flight, and they would hop on a flight to Detroit. Let's call a spade here. A flight from DC to Detroit, especially if you're like a private jet, like you don't have to wait in the airport. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're pulling up to the air. Like, it's probably a 2.5-3 hour max trip, like to get from Washington DC to Detroit, right? Like, it's not like they're flying across country. So to me, it's like, okay, they're making that trip. They would know beforehand, guys, but they did not want Ben Johnson. Like, it would be very well known, like, hey, we have this issue with Ben Johnson. He doesn't want Sam Howell. Like, all right, what's the guy's name? Do we know? Whatever the guy's name is your new ownership that incompetent that they would hop on a flight, and your new GM would hop on a flight without doing prior research, having prior conversations, and having those talks with Ben Johnson about a future of a quarterback in the Sam Howell thing before hopping on a flight to go there and finish the interview? No, you shouldn't be an NFL GM or an owner of a team if that's the way you're going about your work, Like that, it's none of it makes sense. I would love to know if there was sources, and if there were sources, I would love to know how those sources got their sources, and so on. Like, there's no reason in this world that that's a true story. That to me, and I listened to it when you guys put it on the show. It sounds like, and again, no disrespect to whoever it was or whatever. It sounds like a story that someone gave someone as a joke, and maybe it got turned to where, hey, maybe this was true, and someone took it and ran with it, and it never should have been a story. Because if it was a story, I'll tell you what, fellas, you know who would have been talking about it today and who would have talked about it over the last year, and when it happened last February? There's people that get paid more money than that guy to get that news, and that's like Adam Schefter. Those types of guys. I'm 90% sure they would know, hey, Sam Howell is the reason. And Klotz brought up a great point. There's a better North Carolina quarterback that was on the board at pick number 2 for them. So it's such an irrelevant thing. The fact it didn't come out, like if those guys had that source going through last year, like they would have talked about it. They waited until the Commanders play the Lions in the playoffs. It's a load, like it's not true. It's just, I'll say it how it is. If we want to be nice and all, they lied. It's not a true story. It's one of the biggest lies ever told. And if you want to be taken serious in this, and Doc tells me all the time, and I've talked to people in the Lions building all the time about being, obviously I've talked about, hey, I want to be not a reporter, but hey, insider, get info for crunch time. The last thing you want to do is stretch a story like that. So you should be embarrassed for that even getting put out. Again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but that should not, that is wrong. It's wrong. There is no way they hopped on a flight and Sam Howell was the reason that private jet turned around. There's zero reason.
Did you guys see also the I know you were teasing me about it yesterday, the Caleb Williams joining the St. Brown brothers? They talked about Ben Johnson on there, dude. Caleb wants Ben so bad. Yeah,
for sure. He was so ready to talk to him.
Dude, so bad. It's not even funny. I mean, he took the bait with the call, but they were like, even on, he's like, man, if it's not Ben, he's like shaking his head. I've never seen a guy that, like, as a rookie, especially, he's super vocal, like begging, like, please come to Chicago. I wonder, because I know we got till the end of the playoffs, then you'll find out more. Like, I wonder what's going on in Ben's head with that. I know we haven't really covered it Chicago a ton. We talk about it, but
I'm sorry.
Caleb, I'm sure he's told, like, Ryan Poles, like,
I don't mean to cut you off, Jeff. And you know what? I'm just thinking more into this. I'm so sorry. I apologize dearly. The fact that they're like, hey, Jaden's the guy in February, like, yes, I get it. And I heard the video that they knew Jaden was the guy from day one. Buddy, they still had to go through the combine. They still had to interview guys. There was Drake May. There was Jaden Daniels. What happens if Caleb Williams dropped? Like, there were so many scenarios where it was like, Jaden, all of a sudden, like, there were rumors of the Commanders trading out all the way until up the final week. Like, it's such BS, dude. Like, what are we talking about? Like, there were rumors the whole offseason before the draft that the Commanders potentially could trade out, get a Drake May later rounds, or JJ McCarthy. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it's such a story that, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I love Booner's just so passionate about it. I respect
it's
it.
Just such again, I'm sorry. No, Super Science said Booner cuts everybody off, and I did it as he tweeted it out. To me, dude, it's just such, like, what are we doing? Like, what's the point? What is the point of lying about a story like that, or even stretching a story like that? So what? So your franchise doesn't look embarrassed that someone turned you down while you were in the air? Okay, it happened. Who cares? You got Dan Quinn out of it, and you're in the playoffs, and your franchise is on the up and up. Let's not start making up stories to try and get clickbait on Twitter and try and get your stuff to, like, what are we doing, man? I
think whoever told him that information, he got that's like you said, Boone, that's fluffing that information, man. Fluffing.
I'm going to start making stuff up about the Commanders.
Get him, Boone. You'll show him. Who
was their former? I'm not going to start talking about their former owner and stuff. I'm out on that.
Yeah. Apparently, I also saw that one time Ben Johnson was. I saw last year. I'm not sure how true this even is, but I've seen Ben was turned off by Commanders ownership because they're basketball guys.
I will believe that. Like, if that's true, I would believe that.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
I really don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what came out last year. But this this Ben to Chicago thing, I swear, Caleb thinks he's getting Ben. He's in that fan base. I've seen a lot of Bears fans want Ben Johnson, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Get ready to welcome in Big Mike McCarthy. That's who you're going to welcome in. That's who you're going to be. That's
Bring that man back to the NFC North.
Yeah.
Because
I can just see him in
BTA.
Soldier Field, cloudy day, 13-9 game, and you got Mike McCarthy on the sideline. I can see it. I would say an underrated and sometimes disrespected head coach. He's mid, but
Yeah.
I mean,
If you want to win football
ain't
games,
doing
like
nothing.
they'll probably win. They're just not winning like, a Super Bowl. You're not going to go out there and be a contender every year with Mike McCarthy, but you're going to win football games. Like he's just he's a coach that just like, hey, we're going to win 8 or 9 games, maybe 10 games if we have a good year. Yeah, maybe our best year with Mike McCarthy, we'll get to 12. That would be awesome. That'd be sick.
They're like a Matt Nagy-esque
Yeah.
type of year. 12 and 5.
Because he's not the worst coach in the world. I mean, dude, he was dealing with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. Like, poor guy. I mean, I feel for him a bit.
The only thing that's haunted Mike McCarthy is his clock management, which they just got rid of Matt Eberflus and his clock management. Like Mike McCarthy in Dallas, man, there's always clock management issues. It's like
There's
one
always
thing.
something going on.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. But hey, I also saw this too, and you brought it up to me, Booner, like earlier in the day, and I actually watched the clip. First take, this discussion was crazy. I mean, they had a discussion.
So tired of people leaving.
I believe it was NFC quarterbacks. Out of the NFC quarterbacks, who do you trust the most? Like who do you trust the most out of the NFC quarterbacks left? There's 4: Matthew, Jalen, Jared, and Jaden Daniels. So those are the 4. Your boy, Chris Canty, Lucas, he said, I do. He said, Jane Daniels. He trusts Jane Daniels. He said, he went out, he was speaking about how, Jane Daniels is built for the moment. He's a rookie, but he's doing things that rookies aren't doing. Kimberly, who I think she's like a journalist, I believe. She went with Jaden Daniels as well. So 2 Jane Daniels out of Matthew.
It's unbelievable.
Jared. Like, I get Jalen, but Jared and Matthew Stafford. And then Stephen A. Smith. He had it. Stephen A., you had it. He could have just said Jared Goff and went into this like, boom, boom. What? And then Stephen A. said Matthew Stafford.
Listen, I don't even care that he said Matthew Stafford. Like, I would take Matt, like, if we're just being realistic here, like, it frustrates me so much, like, because Jaden Daniels, and I have been the biggest Jaden Daniels guy since the draft. I said he's better than Caleb Williams. I said that he was going to be the best player in that draft class. But the fact, when you look at it and you're talking about who do you trust the most in a playoff run, who do you trust the most in the divisional round, Jaden Daniels is not number 1. He's not number 2. You can maybe make an argument him over Jalen Hurts, but we're talking about a rookie quarterback. And the argument that these people on ESPN made, the fact they're getting paid to talk on ESPN, they might have great backgrounds, this, that, play football, I don't care. But the fact that you're going to use an example of winning 1 playoff game, he's the first rookie in like however many years to go win a playoff game. We have never seen this out of a quarterback in the playoffs since I don't know who. Like, using that a game sample in the playoffs over a guy, Matthew Stafford, who's won multiple playoff games, gone on a Super Bowl run, beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, or not in the Super Bowl, but the playoffs to go win a Super Bowl. You're talking about Jared Goff, who also early in his career has gone to a Super Bowl, who has now last year led the Detroit Lions to 2 playoff wins. Now he has the number 1 seed. Jared Goff, who is first in the NFL, not second, first in the NFL in wins over the last 2 seasons as a quarterback. He's first in passing yards, second in passing touchdowns, and has led a team to 15-2, the number 1 seed. And you're going to take the rookie quarterback going into Ford Field saying, hey, I trust the rookie quarterback on the road in Ford Field versus the 15-2 Detroit Lions over a Jared Goff who has home field advantage and is 15-2 and has been one of the best quarterback when it comes to wins and losses over the last 2 seasons in the NFL. You're just talking out of your you-know-what. There's no BTA. Like, that's the worst take of all time I've ever seen. I was Flabbergasted is the word I think I hear all the time when I heard that this morning. And then the fact that it wasn't just one person, someone else followed up and said the same thing and said, man, Jaden Daniels just has been able to take such control of this offense since the preseason, just coming in as a rookie. What has Jared Goff done the last 2 or 3 years? What has Matthew Stafford done for his whole career? Let's not be stupid on national television here. Let's stop trying to ride the wave and play the hot hand of Jaden Daniels. Be realistic. Tell the truth. Jared Goff is the most trustworthy quarterback currently in the NFC in the playoffs. That's a fact. There's no question behind it. No argument. I ended it. It's over. Okay? I mean, they should be embarrassed talking on ESPN saying that nonsense. Sorry, I'm fired up today. I didn't mean to be this fired up.
Klotzy, I'll say this because you said it should be Stafford. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Now, so I'll let you. I'm here. I want to hear what you have to say on that. This is where I'm at. I think it's ridiculous that and I think Jane Daniels is an excellent quarterback. So I don't. If you want to praise him, go ahead. This was the wrong question to praise him. Like, who do you trust the most? For me, right now in 2024, 2025 now, but this season, I'm trusting Jared Goff. Okay, I am like within 2024, 2025, like Stafford. I think Stafford. You guys, me and Adam celebrated him winning the Super Bowl. I'm a huge Stafford guy, and we've even had discussions where I picked Stafford over Goff in the NFC. This is a year-to-year league. In this year, Jared Goff was in the MVP conversation. I mean, this dude is balling right now with how he's playing with this offense as it's constructed. I'm trusting that dude. He's operating at the highest level of any quarterback left in the playoffs or in the NFC, operating higher than any of those guys. So I'm going to go with the guy who's having a career year in the best situation, balling. I got to give credit to Jared. I think as of right now, I'm going Goff. If it was 2 years ago, a year ago, I would say Stafford. But with new information, changing my opinion. Give me Goff right now.
If you want to talk about what they've done this season, I hear you with this offense, but this is simply a quarterback. Which quarterback are you trusting more? And all I have to ask is myself. Let's go a minute 45 on the clock. You need to score a touchdown. Who's getting you down the field and putting 7 on the board more consistently, more efficiently? And I go back, even when I'm not a Stafford supporter. You guys know that, but I respect Matthew Stafford. What makes Matthew Stafford so great is he's able to do that on a consistent basis. Jared Goff can, not saying he can't, but if anybody's going to go lead their team to a win single-handedly while making plays, he might turn the ball over a little bit more than Jared Goff. But if there's a guy who can play up to any other quarterback in the NFL, individually, light it up, regardless of the wide receiver core, regardless of the defense, regardless of the offensive line, it's Matthew Stafford. I love Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff's going to go on to win a Super Bowl this year. But we're talking individual quarterback, not offense, not quarterback wide receiver duo.
No, we're talking about this weekend. Who do you trust with their team, current team?
Matthew Stafford. It's Matthew Stafford. There's a reason why I've been saying the LA Rams will be in the NFC Championship game. It's because of Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. When you have those two, you're in every game possible. I think you can say the same about Jared Goff, but what Matthew Stafford does individually, I think, is a little bit more than what Jared Goff does. So give me Matthew Stafford.
That's where
he's won a Super Bowl before.
I think the argument gets construed a little bit because I think when you ask that question and when they talk about it on the show, you're talking about going into the divisional round with your current offense, your current team, and what you have in front of you and the matchup that you have. To me, the offense that Jared Goff has around him, again, this isn't taking anything away from Jared Goff. This is just true facts. He has some of the best running backs in the NFL. He has some of the best receivers in the NFL, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and one of the best play callers in the NFL. To me, a minute 30 left. If I had to go into this weekend and I said, hey, both games have a minute 30 left, right? Jared Goff versus the Washington Commanders or Matthew Stafford versus the Philadelphia Eagles defense and his offense. And let's say, hey, each team has a minute 30 left. What team are you betting on to score a touchdown to win the game? I am putting all the money I have on the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff because I trust them to go get a touchdown versus the Washington Commanders over Matthew Stafford versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Remaining in the NFC right now, if I look at this weekend, that is where I'm going. And I'm saying it is Jared Goff. And then the next week, guess what? Whether you play the Rams or the Eagles, I'm still taking Jared Goff, that offense, Ben Johnson, to go score a touchdown. And I trust them over anyone that would be left in the remaining NFC.
If you put
That's
it like
it.
that, if I agree with you, when you boil it down to the offenses, like I don't think anyone's going to dispute that. Like the Lions' offense is more efficient at getting down the field. They're the better offense. My point of what I'm saying is individually. Like if you were to put them on a level offense, same offense.
Well, that's not the question.
But that's all. That's all I'm saying. I understand. Like I feel like that's pretty obvious. Like if there's an offense you trust in the NFC right now, it's the Detroit Lions. Best running back duo. Not the best wide receiver duo, but they're right up there. And then the best offensive line and the best tight end remaining. So I'm not going to fight you there at all. Like I think that's clear as day. But if you're going
into the weekend and like the questions posed,
quarterback to win you a playoff game, I'm going to go Stafford. That's the only point I'm making.
When the questions posed, hey, remaining in the NFC with the teams that they're currently on and going forward, what quarterback do you trust the most to go win the Super Bowl this year? That it should be Jared Goff with what he has surrounding him and what he has. Because some of those arguments, like Stephen A's argument, is the defense that the Detroit Lions have. Like, so you're arguing the team that they're on. You're making that argument. Then do you want to do that? Okay, Stephen A. Do you want to play that game with me, Stephen A? We're talking about a top 5 offense of all time that Jared Goff is controlling and is at the helm of. All right, Stephen A. We're talking about a quarterback that is literally has like the 4th best offense in NFL history. Stephen A. Smith. Whoever those other 2 people were, I apologize for not knowing the names.
Chris
I don't know the names. I didn't know the names. But like, hey, get it straight. But the fact that you picked the rookie quarterback, just because, hey, it's such a cool thing to be. Hey, it's a trendy thing. He just was one of the first rookies in a long time to win a game. How trendy? Let me be trendy and hop on the trendy train. That's what those people did. Maybe, hey, if you're gonna have a job at ESPN, go out there and make a statement. Be honest and back it up, okay?
Well, and I just did a quick search. I have Jared Goff and Stafford's 4th quarter numbers.
Oh no,
okay.
Klotz didn't want this.
I'm
hold
fine
on
with it.
Yeah, well, hold on, Boone.
Maybe I didn't want to.
No, because I'm gonna say this.
All right.
The thing where it's actually they're actually similar. To be honest, if I'm just telling you honestly, I think it's like I think Matthew has 8 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, 1 pick. I think Jared has 7, 2 picks. The thing I would bring up, I think the yards are similar, quarterback ratings. I think Stafford has a slightly higher quarterback rating, so it's not as far away as like I think in our minds. It's like Stafford 4th quarter, big play guy, clutch, which he always has been. But like I think Goff's. People got to start kind of putting Goff like he's been great in the 4th quarter too. And you have to think too. You have to think of this. How many games this year have the Lions blown out teams and he didn't play much in the 4th? And how many times did they have a lead in the 4th and he didn't have to throw the ball much? You know, like there's like Stafford's been in
taken out in the 4th.
Stafford's been in 4th quarter tie games. I mean, he's slinging it. You know what I mean? Which is impressive. He has 1 less pick or whatever. So that's great for Stafford. People say he's the pick 6 god or whatever it is. But it's closer. It's closer. It's closer than people think. I'll go Goff. I'm not going to fight you too much, but I'm with you, Boone. Like, and we all agree. If you're talking about situation, like, no doubt.
I mean, when the question's posed and you use it with your argument against people, the situation with the defense and this and that, then it's like, okay, you had to be honest. Then Jared Goff in this situation, easy put in there as well. Like, if you put Jared in Jaden's situation, it might be a little different. Like, obviously, Jaden Daniels, when it comes to versatility, like the man he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks, top 5 in the NFL at some points. Jared Goff is playing at a top 5 level, and you're talking about trust factor going into this playoff run. I'm not taking a rookie quarterback over what's left. Like I'm not. Like I'm taking Jared Goff. I'm taking Stafford. Like you're just not. Like you would be lying to yourself if you're like, yeah, I would. Like yes, there's going to be times like, yeah, it's cool he won his first playoff game. That is awesome. Baker Mayfield almost just beat him. Okay, like Baker Mayfield almost did it. He didn't do it, but he was on a drive to do it and fumbled the ball. Like we're talking about, hey, Jaden, you have to go up against Jared Goff and a top 5 offense of all time. Hey, even if you get to the next week, you have to go up against Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford. Oh, the Super Bowl, you have to go up against Patrick Mahomes, Josh. Like there's levels to it a little bit, in my opinion.
What about this? Easy says, will the Commanders have made the playoffs if they had Jared Goff at quarterback?
No. And I think that's fair to say. Like, guys, come on. Like, a huge part of their offense was Jaden Daniels running the football.
I'll say this. If you're asking me, see, easy, the way the question's asked, would they make the playoffs? Yes.
I still think they were a wild card.
Yes. But 12 games, to win 12 games, they've depended on Jaden, like to your point, Klotzy, a lot, running the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he leads the team in rushing. So 12 games, like, I mean, I don't know. It's debatable, but I think
Imagine Goff goes out there and runs for 150 or something this week, or like 80 yards, touchdown. That would be nuts, dude.
But like, you don't think Goff? You think what Goff would miss the playoffs, win like 6 games, 7 games?
No. I think they'd probably be a 10-win team. They'd be right outside of the bubble. But like, you look at the NFC this year, they were a 12-win team. They're the 6th seed. You know what I mean? That's fucking nuts. Like, I think this was a very weird year when it comes to rankings because you see a lot of like mid teams. I shouldn't say mid, good teams with elite records. And I think when you look at Goff, there's just plays that Jaden Daniels made, especially like you look last week in the fourth quarter when you have Kalijah Cansey barreling down at him, they're running a QB sweep, and obviously the game flow would have been different. But you look at the lack of weapons that they do have outside of Terry McLaurin. The other weapons that they do have is Jaden Daniels' legs, and that's not going to be there with Jared Goff. Like, they wouldn't have been a bad team.
This man's a Jared Goff hater.
That's what I am. I just think they would have been a 10-win team instead of a 12-win team. And
all right.
I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm not.
Hey, by the way, did you guys tell the people for tomorrow?
No, I was waiting. You want to go ahead and announce it now?
Good guess tomorrow. The people have been asking for it for like months now. Tom Grassi's back on the show tomorrow, boys. 8:30 p.m. He'll be on for about 30 minutes too. He's going to come on for a little bit. They chatted up with the fellas about the playoffs, the NFC North, the Lions. That's a big one. People have been saying, like, when is he coming back on?
We got it.
Packers season's over. Tom Grassi's back. He's no longer, he doesn't have all the Packers responsibilities, so he's going to come back and hang out with the fellas.
Shout out to Tom.
He was a supporter early too.
Since day one.
The first month or two.
He might have been one of our first guests, maybe outside of like the doc. Or he might have been like our second or third guest ever.
Yeah, no, Grassi's he's been growing, dude. He's the fact that he could have easily been like, nah, I'm good. Like, he has that type of pull. He's got almost 1 million subs. He's got 700, 800K. So
I've talked to in a lot of different people in this industry and got ghosted by people we've spoken with. He has never ghosted me once.
And these people are,
local people.
Respect.
Local people I've gotten ghosted.
They're no Grassi.
Grassi has never.
Not
there's times where Grassi will respond to me and be like, "Dude, I'm so sorry," and it's like, don't even stress, dude.
It's like, dude, you're Tom Grassi, bro.
A great guy.
You're good. You know. He's his watch party. I was tuning into his reaction to the Packers. Yeah, it's gonna be great. He's joining us tomorrow.
I'm interested to see what he has to say about Jordan Love in this situation in Green Bay. I'm genuinely in like the NFC North as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a Commanders beat writer as well, hosts Lockdown Commanders. He's joining tomorrow as well, 8:15. So we'll have him. We'll go to Tom Grassi. It'll be a good Thursday. A great Thursday. And then Friday we got Scott Bischoff joining the show. So Scott Bischoff joining the show Friday. So great week. We got the doc in a couple minutes here. So let's go. I was telling Lucas before you joined, Boone, the YouTube, a lot of Commanders floating on the YouTube, a lot of Commanders fans, which is good. It's great, love it. But they're checking out some Lions stuff. I respect it.
I've started to realize this thing, and I do love it because it means that the Lions are starting to become a good franchise, it's amazing. It feels like every time we play a new team, like the Commanders, like the Vikings, the Packers for a while, the Bears, shout out to Mon Dice in the chat. Like, there's just, on social media, people are like trying to attack Lions and Lions fans going now. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what's happening? Like anything, you could say anything. It's just like that whole fan base is like going at the Lions. Like, we're supposed to be America's team here. And it's every time we play a team, they're out to kill us. It's like, hey,
I love it. I love being the hated team, man. I don't mind it because you're beating teams' ass, man. You're beating these teams up, and they don't like it. They don't like it. And Commanders, like, it's the we want Detroit. Now parlay that into now we're facing them, and fans are excited. But it's gonna be a long day on Saturday. I'll tell you that. Lions are putting up a 30 burger at the minimum. I can't wait. You got Monty back and Jameer.
He looks good. Can we play the video before the doc hops on? I posted it on our Twitter.
Yes.
D-Mont looks like Klotz. With all due respect, D-Mont probably heard you and said, "Hey, Klotzy, I'm good to go.
So you think 50-50, Boone?
I don't can say 50-50, but I think Demont, if there's a chance he starts playing well, they're not going to be like, oh, let's just be careful. No, if he's playing, he's playing, and he looked good out there. I know it's a short video. His legs were moving. He looks fast, and there was no like slow, no, it was like he's here. Oh,
let me see this. Shout out to the Doc, by the way.
Doc got this too. Absolutely.
Look at this guy. I mean, look at this.
Dude, there's nothing. There's no like tweak, nothing. He looks normal.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Johnson said today at the press conference, he said David Montgomery literally has picked up where he left off. Like there has been no, like he's came back the last 2 days. He picked up right before the injury where he left off. And he was like, he looks just as good. And it's like, I don't think there's any, I think that his knee's healed up. I think he's good to go. I don't know if they're putting shots in the knee or what's happening, but hey, you have 3 games, Klotz.
Yeah.
That's all. And then you have all off season to heal up, and you can go get surgery. And guess what? You can go into surgery with the Lombardi Trophy sitting right next to you. That's all we need.
That is a good
we need
point.
3 games, Klotz. 100%.
Hey, speaking of shots, let's see if our good friends, if he's taking any, that's John Maakaron, our good friend. He's joining the program today. Look at his face.
He's ready.
Joins. He's going to cook my ass when he gets in here. The Doc, you can check him out. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, does some great work. You guys know who it is. Joins us every Wednesday. And as always, brought to you guys by BetUS. Please welcome to the show, the one, the only, John Maakaron. Doc, what's going on?
Man, it's a good day. Let me turn this light down here, man. What a blessing. Man, I was at practice bringing you guys the video. Thank you for playing it, for crediting me for being out there. It's a great time, man. I'm supremely confident. I'm ready to whoop some Commanders' ass. I'm excited. It's a great time. It's Wednesday. Let's talk some football. Let's talk, man. What's going on?
Hey, Doc, I want to get your opinion on this because we talked about it earlier. I know you're very dialed into what's going on. I know you've seen it. And if you haven't, I'll break it down for you. But you saw the video of the Commanders reporter saying that Ben Johnson was obsessed with Sam Howell. I'm sure you've already covered it. Did you happen to see that at all, that video?
Look, I saw that.
What do you make of it, Doc? What do you make of it?
I think it's crazy to think about, but look, first and foremost, I have not had a chance to, I did see it come across the thing, but today's been so heavy with the news about how much Ben loves the Raiders, Aaron Glenn and the Jets and stuff like that. Look, if you're Ben Johnson and you see a quarterback that has the skill set of Sam Howell, maybe it's intriguing, but I look at it from the truth perspective and I say, look, if you're Ben Johnson and you just had success with Jared Goff, and you just built an offense around him, and you just also saw what Kevin O'Connell can do with Sam Darnold. So I do believe that Ben Johnson's ego would allow him potentially to say that, but you can do so much better, and that's why I think the Raiders' job for him could be appealing with a top 10 pick coming up, that you could draft someone, or you go the veteran route, and you bring in somebody while you groom. I'm curious to see if Ben Johnson takes another job, because that was the first question I asked Dan Campbell was, what's your philosophy? And which has been funny because as of late, Dan's answers to me have been kind of more in a joking manner. The first thing he told me was a joke. He's like, well, I'm just going to play a quarterback until they lose, and then I'll bring in a veteran. So, and then he's like, I'm kidding, John, I'm kidding. But I think that for most, it's a big decision. For most new coaches, having a quarterback that can play could be the decision, could be the factor whether you get fired or not. But for Ben, early on, I think when he takes a job, he's going to get like 6 years and north of $100 million. He'll get paid so much money that he'll be in a good situation to kind of weather some early storms. But that Sam Howell situation, I think you could just do. My first thought when I saw that, I'm like, Sam Howell, my God. But I think there's, refresh me if I'm wrong, but there's that Carolina connection, and he's always involved there as well. So I could see where he could say, oh, I'm intrigued by what Sam Howell could do, but I think you could always do better.
Are we allowed to say people might be lying about stories in this industry, Doc? Is that okay for me to say?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things going on.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't disrespect.
Yeah, there could be a lot of smearing going on with Washington. They're butthurt, but they got a good coach. they got their guy, and they got a nice situation going where they got a win already in the postseason, and now they're coming to the Lions Den. It's going to be fun for them to see how they try to match switch with the Lions.
Yeah, Doc, I do want to ask you, obviously you're in Allen Park today. I just want a two-part question here. One, to kind of get the vibe in Allen Park, how everything was going, anything that the people need to know. And two, with being in Allen Park, all the practice report stuff, you posted videos. Taylor Decker, it sounded like potentially having, they're having their kid, but all these injuries, Ennis Rakestraw still not full practice, Kevin Zeitler out, Pat O'Connor out, and then obviously Terrion and Demont are back. What's going on in Allen Park? And then two, injury situation. Can you update the people on all of that? David Montgomery, Terrion, Kevin Zeitler, and et cetera, with all of those guys.
Yeah, first and foremost, make sure you visit at Detroit Podcast or Crunch Time, because my videos show up on your feed as well. But with proper credit, I appreciate that very kindly in this day and age. Look, Terrion, smooth, man. He looked good. You saw the backwards drill that they typically do to start the individual drills. He looked fast, smooth, fluid. He looks good, ready to go. Dave Montgomery, you saw, he's ready to go. He said that, hey, if I felt the need, I had to wear a brace, I wouldn't be out there, and he's ready to go. Now, Zeitler, a little bit concerning, missed the first couple of days of practice. How quickly can he recover from that hamstring injury? It's looking less and less likely. The big day will be again tomorrow. Will be our last chance to ask Dan Campbell about it. Taylor Decker was just personal reasons. I would be shocked if he missed the game. And Ennis Rakestraw, look, his situation is, ever so cautious. You probably would expect that he'll be in IR activation after the Commanders game, if at all. So I think the Lions are healthy. That bye week, the vibe around Allen Park was great. Now, real interesting, because there was a shift I can share from the inside. All right. Inside scoop. Today's media session, a little bit better than yesterday. So the first person I went up and talked to yesterday was Al-Quadin Muhammad, number 69. And I thought it would be a nice interview. I thought, okay, you know what? He doesn't talk a whole heck of a lot, but I think he's got a lot to say. So I go up to him and get into the flow of the conversation. And I'm like, what do you think about stopping Jane Daniels? I know he's mobile. He's got some things going on. He's like, you just got to do your job. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard that line like that, delivered like that. And I was like, oh, I was thrown aback. I'm like, oh, they buttoned it down, but it made sense. All the talk from him about Washington was super buttoned up. He did not want to give any inkling of anything that could be bulletin board material. But when he talked about he talked about the Lions and Alex Anzalone and his team, he was a little bit more willing to open up. So I tried to joke around with him a little bit. It went nowhere. So that was interesting. But today was a little bit different. Gibbs, Alex Anzalone, J-Mo, and I talked one-on-one with Zadarius Smith. That full interview will drop tomorrow on Lions on SI. A little bit more forthcoming. And I just feel like the bye week put everybody in a good mood. They're rested. They're ready to go. And they know the mission at hand. 3 wins, and you win the Super Bowl. And I just feel supreme confidence that this football team, as constructed, has won 15 games. And they lost an early season game to Tampa in the rust zone. The game against the Bills was, a situation in which the Bills played better, executed better, they won. But for throughout the year, this football team's ready. And I think that the Commanders, when you look at the matchups all the way across the board, they favor the Lions in a lot of ways. So I don't want to say I'm overlooking the Commanders, but I have less than zero concern. I'm sleeping well. I'm enjoying the coverage. Zadarius Smith is ready too. And you just are rooting for guys to be able to come in and win a ring, because that locker room deserves it. That's a good group of guys. They're working hard and they want to deliver. They want to deliver the Super Bowl to this great fan base. And man, would it be great to get out there and cover a team that wins the Super Bowl? I'm starting to envision it. I've always said Super Bowl loss, but if they get rolling, and I think they'll start clicking right away this Saturday, look out. I think the Lions could potentially make a lot of noise in these next 2 games and the Super Bowl.
Yeah, love to see it, Doc. Love having you on the show. Thank you for coming back. You kind of brought up Demont, and we had a conversation yesterday about what we thought was going to be the role for Demont. Booner posed a question. If Demont starts having the Demont type of game where he's eating in the first half, do they keep him out there and they just let Demont go to work? What do you think Demont's workload is going to be against his Commanders defense Saturday night?
Yeah, right. And first and foremost, I do want to address the handful of people that are like, "Oh my God, Doc, you're sharing company secrets." I'm like, they allow me to film it, guys. I have a big, huge camera. They let me walk up there and do it for the time that I'm allowed. Remember, I got in trouble last year for commenting and posting some opinions on some of those videos. Now I scaled it back a little bit, but it's a 15-win team. What am I going to say? The team is great. So the commentary is solid. It's just basically, here are the players that are practicing. It's mostly the same kind of drills because they only allow us like a 10 to 15 minute window. And we see a little bit of stretching and a little bit of drills like that. You basically see defensive backs, running backwards, shuttles, rushing, and then you see some passing and things like that. You're not going to see a whole heck of a lot more. They don't let me see plays, but people are like acting like I was divulging when they're going to run trick plays. Guys, if anything at all, the Lions have my number. They know if they don't like anything, they will just tell me, yank it off. So don't worry. Anything that is on at Detroit Podcast is approved and authorized. So nothing got yanked yet from the Twitter page. So I'm very grateful, and I will post stuff that you guys like and will enjoy it. Now, Dave Montgomery, full go. Now the debate should be, what should the workload be? Because everyone's seeing that Jahmyr Gibbs is a Ferrari. So I'm here now. I don't care what you all think in the chat. I'm starting a running back controversy. I think Gibbs is the Ferrari. I think you win with Gibbs, but you still got to include David Montgomery. Look, the Commanders' rush defense is horrible. Horrible. 30th. They give up a bunch of yards via the ground. So to me, you start the game with Gibbs, you let it rip, and you wear down the defensive line of the Commanders, and then you close the game with David Montgomery. But I think that it should be 60-40 in Gibbs' favor. It's 3 games coming off of a bye. You let him go. You ride Jahmyr Gibbs to the Super Bowl because he's special. I mean, David Montgomery's not going to sit up there and lie to us and say Jahmyr Gibbs is a generational talent. You guys are not going to create an amazing graphic that says generational talent. If I recall, that was you guys. That Jahmyr Gibbs is the truth, and he's special. He got bigger, a little bit bulkier, a little bit better able to block, great runner, home run threat. So you hit that Ferrari and you give the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs. And, when you need those maybe short yardage situations in the red zone where they maybe struggle, boom, David Montgomery. But it's a great problem to have, right? If you're Ben Johnson, you got 6 guys that can carry you to a win. It's amazing.
Yeah, Doc, to kind of go back on just Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, they both spoke to the media today. Both were kind of asked about what they've been doing coaching-wise and in the interviews. Who was it? You? I think I heard you ask a question regarding Aaron Glenn turning the Patriots down, John. I know your voice. Go ahead.
Okay, now I don't want to alarm anybody. Okay, I want to alarm anybody.
Oh God!
But something happened. If you are superstitious, if it happens tomorrow, I'll get your guys' counsel as to what I do. Okay, because I'm a nice guy. All right, I typically show up to all media sessions 30 to 35 minutes before, right? And I've sat in the same spot for about 5 years, right? Today, I roll up in there, say hi to the greeters, sign my name, sign in. I look up, an older reporter sitting in my seat. I'm like, oh, hell no, in my head. I'm like, what? What do I say? Do I tell him, hey, move? No, it's an older guy. I can't say anything. Yeah, so I'm like, man, it's bad. But nobody from the outside has even thought to sit there up front. But someone was there. So Dan Campbell, when I was late last year, I was late to a media session. He brought it up. He said, hey, why are you in the back? So tomorrow, if it happens again, Dan's probably going to say something. But I'm a little concerned. Superstition says that they've been winning with me sitting up front. It didn't happen today. But I'm respectful. I respect my elders. I sat in the back, so I had to scream my question to Aaron Glenn. But yeah, that was an easy toss-up because we had to confirm, hey, why didn't you go to interview with the Patriots? I think that's a mistake. Yeah, they were going to hire Vrabel. Yeah, you could say it was maybe an interview not in good faith, but you still learn from any opportunity from someone asking you a question. I would have still took the interview. But I did want to know. So I threw it in there. I said, hey, is part of the reason why you don't want to go to the Patriots because you're a Jet, you're a bleed green guy and you're not going to the Patriots. I thought it would have been, hey, if you're going to go to the Jets, might as well get some info from the Patriots upper management. Maybe ask them questions like, what's your vision? Or tell me some things you guys want to do with Drake May. You at least get some info if you're going to go to the Jets. But I get it. His answer to me was respectful. He didn't divulge anything. He said, nah, it's just not a good fit. And that's a pro answer. But yeah, that was me. I asked directly, did you turn down the Patriots because you're a Jet? Which I thought was hilarious to me to ask that in that way. But I loved Aaron Glenn wearing the glasses. Looks smart and sophisticated, and I love it. But yeah, I asked him a point blank direct question, and he answered it. But I thought really honestly too this week, I thought my question to Dan about, hey, do you check in with the guys? I was like, yeah, I could see where maybe you don't want to divulge that, but there was a way to answer that with a lot of words without really answering it. But he's been he's been side skirting some of my questions with some jokes lately, and I thought that his answer could have been he could have gave some coach speak. But I asked Dan Campbell, I said, hey, it is kind of weird. Your guys that you are in the trenches with are flirting with other people. And he's like, what? You want me to go check in on them and let them know, for them to tell me that they're leaving? But I was like, it is kind of unusual that you've been in the trenches with these guys and they're now talking to a bunch of other teams. You're going to compete against these guys in the future. What's it like? I thought it would have been interesting to see what kind of conversations he has. He could have just said, I check in with them and I'm glad they're taking interviews and maybe give his opinion, but he punted on that question. So to me, that lends to me that those are good questions because they don't want to answer it.
Well, Doc, where are you today, January 15th? We've talked a lot this week, me and the fellas, about landing spots. Where are you now with you being around in the room, both leaving, one leaving? Where are you at with it?
Yeah, no doubt. And then a great point by John Hughes in the comment that he didn't want to be the quote unquote Aaron Glenn, the Rooney Rule interview. Look, you never know. And you can't assume that if somebody invites you for an interview, you never know what the other party's thinking. And also too, it's the NFL. Information is gold. Like you get to sit with an NFL team and you get to learn about their organization. If you're going to be with the Jets, it would be nice to kind of get some intel on Drake May, what they think of the defense, what their draft thoughts could be. Intel. Look, I get it. The whole, you don't want to go to a job that you're never going to get. And everybody and their mom knew that Vrabel would get that job. But I think that you still take the interview and you never know. Maybe there's a third or fourth person on that call that ends up going somewhere else down the road. You never know in the NFL where people sprinkle around. And I think that it's a missed opportunity, but that also lends to the point that you're making. Maybe he knows there's a couple teams that are going to give you that offer. So he knows he can be selective. And right now, everyone knows Aaron Glenn's the most ready. He sounds like a coach. He's talking like a coach. He's selling himself as a coach. He said today in front of everybody, I'm not just a defensive coach. I coach everybody. And his reputation, do you guys see that amazing video that he did with Pivot, where he's talking about how his impact is with players, how he worked with Tracy Walker? Maybe you should have watched a couple more hours of film with him. That might have helped his career. But that's here nor there. I think that video was empowering. I thought that everybody you talk to, from the time I've stepped foot at Allen Park, everybody talks about how great a leader AG is. He's gone. He's going to get an offer. Whether it be the Saints or the Jets, he's gone. Guaranteed. I mean, you would be crazy. He's a leader of men, former NFL player, Dan Campbell's right-hand guy. The world, and Ben Johnson said, hey, this guy's ready. Dan Campbell, when Dan Campbell stands in front of the microphone and says, it will be crazy if this guy doesn't get a job, it's done. It's a done deal. People are going to make an offer. Now, Ben Johnson is a little bit different. He faces a little bit more of an uphill climb. One, not a former player, but I do think he's well respected for what he's done in this offense. If you visit Lions on SI, you read the tea leaves, the Raiders love him. And why not? Tom Brady's in charge of the minority owner there. He's watched the games. He saw Ben Johnson destroy the Cowboys. He's seen other games where you've seen afterwards. He's like, man, this offense is unbelievable. I want to play for this offense. Tom Brady has basically said, I want Ben Johnson. Now, it's all going to be about particulars and who's going to run when they fired Tom Tedesco, I think that pretty much opened the conversation that right now, I think the leader in the clubhouse for the services of Ben Johnson is the Las Vegas Raiders. So my opinion is both are gone. Get ready.
Wow. That's a big.
And look, the Lions have guys 15-2. If you're an NFL organization and you're trying to sell your fan base, you want winners. Go after the best team in the NFL.
For sure.
You go after the Lions guys. Your fan base is going to ask you, wait a minute, you didn't want Ben Johnson? He's the best. You're going to have a tough sell if you're not going to bring in Ron Rivera when Ben Johnson's out there. It's just, you got to handle business. You have to, electrify your fan base. And Tom Brady standing on a stage with Ben Johnson, that sells tickets, baby. That's Prince money.
Yeah, Doc. Even like going a step further here, I know we've already talked to you about the replacements and all of that, but I think since we've spoke with you last, guys like Hank Fraley, Deshae Townsend, like these guys have all gotten OC and DC interviews. What are your thoughts on how like the mix up, not only which is with Ben Johnson and AG, obviously most likely they take some guys with them, but some of these other guys outside of even Kelvin Shepard or Tanner Engstrand. Hank Fraley got an OC interview last week. Deshae Townsend interviewed for the 49ers DC job. What are your thoughts on how this whole, not just the head guys, but the guys behind them, how do they mix up and kind of how does this thing turn out with some of these guys? And who do you see kind of leaving and staying?
Yeah, it's great too, right? Hank Fraley getting the offensive coordinator interview. I think that's a great thing too. When you run an offensive line that has had that much success, you look. When you're a successful NFL team, other teams want to come in and talk to your guys. And it's, I think that it's too soon for Hank Fraley to take an opportunity like that. You would think that, he maybe needs a little bit more seasoning with play calling and stuff like that. But look, I think it's great for Deshae Townsend. I think it's great for the special teams coach. The special teams staffer that got an opportunity for an interview. You take those things, and I think the other teams in the NFL would be smart to learn a little bit more about what the Lions did. Now, I hope you guys are blessed to subscribe to the Free Press because, my God, look, I don't want to. I'll say this: I subscribe to all of them. MLive, the News, Athletic. I subscribe to them all. But to me, it's a write-off. So it's information. I can use it. It's all part of the group where you learn things and you read it. But to me, if you only subscribe to one, the Free Press is hands down, I think, one of the premier worth it subscriptions you can buy. And Jeff Seidel did an amazing 3-part. He got to sit with Sheila Hemp, sit with some of the ownership, sit with Rod Wood, and sit with Brad Holmes. And you realize, my goodness, what it took. 3-part series. Read it all. Yeah, worth it just to subscribe for the week just to read that series in terms of just how Chris Spielman was a servant to this organization and how the timeline of how this organization got better. Good coaches, and I think that here's the secret, and I'll tease a little bit of what Zadarius Smith said. He told me directly, he's like, man, these NFL teams probably need coaches that have played in the league. The biggest secret, one of the secrets of the Lions' success, these coaches have all played in the league. They instantly get credibility to the players. That's the buy-in. That's one of the small margins of victory in the NFL is buy-in. I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks, but all the speeches kind of sound the same. We got to work hard. We got to try this. We got to be winners. It all kind of sounds the same. And look, listening to what Mike Tomlin said, I kind of was like, man, after 10 years, that probably gets a little bit stale. But what the Lions have done is they have galvanized a locker room and a town by the speeches they give, the rallying cry that they have to go out there and let's just, hey, you guys are a bunch of guys that nobody thought would win. And look what you've done, from Amon-Ra St. Brown to guys that, Amik Robertson. I just think that the Lions coaches filled with a bunch of ex-players has really helped this development of the talent. And I think probably my assessment would be that Tanner Engstrand, Mark Brunell would be candidates to leave with Ben Johnson. I think Kelvin Shepard would get a phone call from Aaron Glenn to pursue an opportunity. So those are the frontline guys that I think have worked directly with the coordinators to potentially get those calls. And that's kind of how it goes, is you look to the people you worked with first. So maybe even Deshae Townsend would consider, leaving for working with Aaron Glenn. But it's all about opportunity. It's all about, money and the opportunity that, what your role could be. And I'm fascinated to see when the calls come down and they tell Dan Campbell they're leaving, who's going to stay and who's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how it plays out. Kind of going outside of Detroit, all still applies to Detroit, obviously. When you looked at the Minnesota-LA game, when you looked at the Philadelphia and who they playing? Mind blanking right now.
Packers.
The Packers game. What were your takeaways from the other games around the NFC when you look at the Lions and how they played?
Yeah, no doubt. And look, remember too, Diggity Dog, Glennon Johnson are not the coach of the Lions. The coach of the Lions is a former NFL player who stands in front of the team and runs the ship. Dan Campbell, former NFL player who shocked everybody in his interview. Dan is the leader. The rest have now learned what it's going to take to galvanize a room. Whew. But again, players look to former players, and that's why, listen, do your homework. Matt Patricia's intro speech was not terribly different than what Dan Campbell said, just minus the kneecaps. Matt Patricia kind of said the same thing. Set the tone, be gritty, win tough games. The situation is he walked into the locker room and in 5 seconds opened his mouth, and they were all looking at him like, oh, hell no. That's the difference. Dan Campbell had the respect of being a former player, and he knows what the deal is. Now, it was weird, and I said this on the latest Doc and Jock podcast, just watching a lot of NFL football, watching a lot of college football this year, I kind of felt like throughout, I was excited genuinely for the college football playoff and for the NFL. And then I just got bored. Like I was a little bit bored watching some of the playoff games. I was like, well, this is Ohio State and Texas. This is, but it's not really competitive. It's not really all that
a great game, Doc.
And I've kind of seen all this before. You know what I mean? It's like, they're leading and they do that. Okay. So it's like when you're me and you watch that much football, I kind of should have taken a break, but I watched it all. I wasn't impressed with the NFL postseason with what I saw on Wild Card Weekend. A lot of games that weren't that great. The Washington game was competitive, but on the NFC side, again, that's why I'm coming on here super excited, and I got in trouble a little bit on Twitter because people read a little bit. When Nakobe Dean went down, clearly, let's just start with the notion. I'm a normal human. I don't want any player to get hurt, clearly. But in this day and age, you got to preface everything. And everyone's trying to read your tone on Twitter. Well, good luck with that. But I'm live and in person. When Nakobe Dean went down, my first thought was, oh man, I hope it's not too severe. And my next thought was easier path for the Lions. That's a big time injury for a defense that was playing well on the defensive line. The Eagles didn't impress me. The Rams, now that performance against the Vikings, smart, because they copied Aaron Glenn. Smart Rams, what they were able to do. They're concerning, but I'll take for once the advice of the Twitter commenters. They were like, they're going to play the Eagles. Don't worry about the Rams. Too early. They're going to play a snowball. It's going to favor the Eagles. It's going to be a physical contest. I think if they come to Detroit after two tougher games, maybe after a tough game against the Eagles, maybe that will favor the Lions. So I walked away from the other games going, man, like everybody else, I laughed at the Vikings, collapsed, laughed at the pretender Packers, didn't show up. So Lions, kings of the NFC North. And I walked away laughing at the Packers and Vikings. I enjoyed the collapse. The live stream that some of the Vikings and Packers did was hilarious. They've shut up pretty quick. Their trash talking was over.
You were a menace, Doc, in that one live stream. You were. I mean,
great.
This guy
It
was
was
on
great. I love the screaming live streamers out there. You guys are great. Niche market. I couldn't do it because I would go above and beyond what even that guy was doing. So right. That was great. But my biggest takeaway is toughest game might be Lions-Rams NFC Championship.
Wow.
Doc. I've been consistent on that.
And Booner's not with you.
They played well. That was an emotional game. They had a reason to play, and they showed out. And They handle distractions. They have a good general manager, experienced coach. They got a quarterback that fits that system. Maybe he gets hot for a couple of weeks, and you never know.
I mean, they're using Dan's what he said to Kevin O'Connell as motivation to go all the way. Like Dan Campbell, if they meet in the NFC Championship game, he might have inspired them. He's such a good leader of men. He's inspiring other teams, Doc, to make runs in the playoffs. I'll ask you, the team they're facing, Jane Daniels, mobility, it's going to be tough. We've seen, the Lions kind of struggle with mobile quarterbacks. They've only really faced one true, I guess, a top-level mobile quarterback, someone that has been running all over teams, and Josh Allen. I get you can count Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, and stuff like that, but Josh, the biggest threat, ran for 60, 70 yards, whatever it is. What do you make of the matchup here? I know AG or Dan kind of talked about it as well. Where are you at with trying to contain Jaden? Are you in the camp of Corey Woods? He joined the show Monday where it's like, hey, he's going to beat you. He's going to have a ton of yards with his legs. Or are you on the side of, hey, we got to limit this? Because he's running all over teams, Doc. He's running all over them.
Yeah, no doubt. Mag Life, I appreciate your comment. I got that a lot on Facebook and Twitter. Well, Ben and Aaron are interviewing. We shouldn't be talking about them leaving and interviewing. Guys, they did the interviews on their bye week where they didn't know the opponent. They are, and today I asked Terry and Arnold, hey, have you told Aaron you want him to come back? He's like, I respect Aaron so much that he's not brought any of that noise into the building. He said, I, of course, want Aaron Glenn back, but Aaron is a pro. Ben Johnson is a pro. Guys, I promise you, I would tell you if I thought that the interviews were a distraction. They're not. This football team is laser focused. They know the storybook ending is right there. Guys, the game is in New Orleans. New Orleans, where Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell came from. Come on now. They're focused. They're ready. They're putting in the hours. And these guys can take time to interview and also run a game plan. Trust me. So here, and the reason why we're also talking about Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn in their interviews is my confidence level is high. I echo the sentiments of a lot of people that think that the Lions are going to cover. Good teams win. Great teams cover. I think they win 30-20. I think they get out to an early lead. I think the noise at Ford Field is going to be crazy. And I think that the Lions are built to win playoff games the ways in which playoff games are meant to be won. You're going to pound the rock. You're going to get a lot of first downs. You're going to hit them with a bunch of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to have some excitement for the primetime viewers, for Jamison Williams. And then you want to do some defensive adjustments to stop them. We'll hit you with a little Sam Laporta. We'll hit you a little bit with some Brock Wright. We'll hit you with some David Montgomery. It's too much. And so until someone comes in and actually takes it to the Lions like the Bills did, some teams can do it. Not in the NFC. So I think that my concern level for Jaden Daniels is low. I think he throws the football once to Kirby and once to either Amik or Terry and Arnold. He's going to throw 2 interceptions. Yeah, he'll get his a little bit on the ground. But remember, we did a film review on Detroit Lions on SI. Christian looked at it. The Lions, have to focus and hit, and I'll save you a little bit of time if you don't want to read it all, but it's worth your time to watch the film and read it with Christian. It's not going to be about the scrambling of Jaden Daniels. It's going to be about the RPO. You got to maintain your responsibility, not get fooled. Make sure you tackle, because Jaden Daniels can do that and confuse you and end up with big gains. I think he'll run for 65 yards, but the turnovers battle will be won by the Lions. They're going to score a bunch of points. The atmosphere in that building will carry the Detroit Lions. It would be a monumental upset of the last 5 years if the Commanders beat the Lions. Everyone should go there, and I'm telling you now, get ripped before the game, and you don't have to worry about the Lions against the Commanders. Maybe it'll be close, but what evidence tells you that the Lions are going to lose a close game? They play well. They're hungry. And I'm telling you now, from what Dan Campbell's been telling the players and how hungry they are, they know half the roster flew home from the 49ers game. They won 15 games. Commanders are going to get their ass beat. And those fans, that video of them chanting, "We want the Lions," is going to be the funniest thing to watch over and over again when the final score reads 35-17. It's going to be great. And if you are sitting there nervous, I think that there's nothing the Lions can do than ever to impress you. I mean, a guy like me, I'm a cynic, I'm a critic, and I'm just going to say, like, I'm going to put it out there. If there were things to be nervous about, I would bring them up. But for this week, Lions coming off of a bye, healthier, Jared Goff balling out, Jameson Williams maturing right before our eyes. Every interview he's given the last 3 weeks has gotten better than the one before. Jahmyr Gibbs bursting onto the scene, a healthier Sam Laporta, an offensive line that wants to prove things. I mean, I think the recipe's there for this week. Sit back, be confident, and cheer your heart out. The Lions are going to deliver this week. And then we can be really nervous when it's the Lions and the Rams next week. Then I'll come on next week and say, okay, I'm a little bit nervous.
Okay, you can't say all that, Doc, and then say you're going to be nervous. We're not doing that. That's not the world we're living in. This is the best team in the NFL.
I'm someone that says the Lions are getting to the Super Bowl, but my confidence level, and this week I'm going in there with my heart rate going to be 65. If it's the Lions and the Rams, my heart rate will be 90, but I'm still predicting them to win. It's just going to be more nervousness because Stafford has a nice offense. The Rams have some motivation, and they have some defensive players that can do some things. There's a risk of loss with the Rams.
Three words for you, Doc. Calm down, Doc. That's all I'm going to keep saying. I'm going to text you that every morning.
Nervous.
You're going to wake up. You're going to walk into Allen Park.
Psychotic
and the first
nervousness
text you're
next
going to
week.
get is going to say, "Calm down, Doc." And that's every time you're about to talk to Dan. I'm going to be watching live on YouTube, and I'm going to text you and say, "Calm down, Doc. It's all good." And I do want to ask you something. We're talking a lot about the offense, but defensively, one guy that came back, and I think it might have been AG that actually talked about it today, Alex Anzalone, and the impact that he had in this last game, in the Vikings game. And, it was said too, like, hey, he might be on a little bit of a snap limit. And they said, hey, he might not be a full go. He ended up being a full go, and this defense looked completely different. How big of an impact do you see Anzo having over these next 3 games? Obviously, it's probably pretty high, but what does this do for this defense moving forward versus Jaden Daniels, potentially a Stafford or a Jalen Hurts, and then, one of those elite MVP candidates in the AFC?
Yeah. Real fast, I got distracted by the learn how to win comment. I looked at it and I say, I'm a state guy. So I followed the Lions in Michigan State. Okay. So I'm in a situation in which I've seen a lot of losing and a lot of heartbreak. Okay. Remember, Lomas Brown guaranteed the Lions were going to go to Philly and whoop ass, and they got their ass whooped. I've seen a lot of losing. So first of all, I think I have kind of turned the corner a little bit. I went 15-2 in my predictions this year. I predicted them to win 16 times, and they won 15 of them. So I had a good year prediction-wise. Gambling-wise was a good year. So we're learning there, but that opportunity to just be full homer, not there just yet. Now, hit me with that last part of the question again, Booner, about Jalen Hurts in the AFC.
Just about Alex Anzalone and Anzalone's impact.
Okay. His return. Yes, no doubt about it. I heard that first part is the last part there with Jalen Hurts and his impact. I think the return of Anzalone, monumental. You see the swagger that he brings to the table. First and foremost, when you bring that scar to the table and you post that on the internet and you are playing with a rod in your arm, you just garner the respect of everybody, and everybody focuses more. And you saw everything that he was able to do with coverage, galvanize that defense. Look, man, and I think probably, we can't do it now, but if we did a film review intently on Alex Anzalone, he got better in the last 4 years. Part of the reason why the Lions got better is they developed their players. The players that were good and had some weaknesses got better in Aaron Glenn's system. And I just think he's a defensive captain. He's an above average linebacker who's aggressive, who flies to the football, good in coverage against tight ends. TJ Hawkinson, I got to admit, I got his jersey and I got it signed.
Oh, burn it.
Bad luck, right?
Burn it.
Alligator arms, TJ. What the hell? Didn't want to take a hit from the Lions defense. He played like crap against the Lions and wasn't all that impactful in the playoff game in their choke. So I look at Alex Anzalone and I say, man, kudos to you for being the best version that you can be. And I think that it slots everything nicely with Jack Campbell too. So man, and Dan Campbell said it perfectly when he answered the question honestly and real with the radio station. He said, it would probably be easier for me to tell you what he didn't do well. He did everything, he just did so many good things on that football field. It's just like, man, there's so much that he contributed to that it makes this defense a lot better. And I mean, a lot, guys, 9 points to the Vikings, maybe it's overstated because they were in the midst of their choke job. Maybe they, as some would say, blew their wad a little early in their celebration, but I don't care about the Vikings issues. The Lions defense got better with Alex Anzalone.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Doc. And something that defense did week 18 against Sam Darnold was they applied pressure. Aaron Glenn sent the house. It was more than we've seen all season from Aaron Glenn, but it was more from a whole defense where they sent all 6 guys. Do you think a similar game plan? Because when you look at Sam Darnold, not a rookie, but that was really his first big game, week 18, to win the NFC North, win the NFC Conference. Jaden Daniels now going to be in his biggest moment. Do you think AG is going to keep his foot on the gas and just send the house pretty much every time just to make him uncomfortable? What do you expect this game plan to look like?
It's such a great question. I did a video on it specifically for SI, just talking about is Aaron Glenn going to send the pressure that much? Here's the problem. The numbers dictate that Jaden Daniels is pretty good against the blitz and good in the face of pressure late in games. So I think you got to be creative. I think you trust the members of the roster to make life for Jaden Daniels uncomfortable. So yes, maybe I will question it. But in the end, why would you change something that you've done basically for the most of the year? You blitz at a 55% rate. You go after it and you make it uncomfortable for Jaden Daniels. You got the weapons to do it. You got Zadarius Smith a little bit healthier, refreshed, Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike. And the whole purpose is, the reason why people get nervous is if you make a mistake, there's going to be a potential for an explosive play. But the Lions defense has shown that they can make up for it on the back end in the red zone. So you go to the dance with what brought you. You bring the pressure. You hope that it forces him into some throws that he don't like, and you make life uncomfortable just a little bit. Maybe, you dial it back down to like 48%, maybe just a little bit less, and you drop back in coverage just a little bit. But bottom line, in the NFL in the postseason, you also have to win with some 4-man fronts, and you have to win some battles. I think they will, and I do think that it's going to be a nice battle between the Lions' defensive line and the Commanders' offensive line is pretty solid. They do some things really well. It's going to be a very intriguing opportunity, but key factor, X factor, is going to be Zadarius Smith. I think he gets after. I think he eats this week.
Well, Doc, you talked about the NFC and the NFC North, but what do you make of the Sam Darnold stuff? Back-to-back games, crap in the bed. We talked about it. Is it J.J. McCarthy next year, Doc, or do you believe Sam Darnold will be back? Or do you believe he'll still get paid to some extent? I know it was not as much as he would have, but what do you make of the Sam Darnold storyline, and where does he end up next year?
It's funny. You remember what I said last year? I basically did a promo for Sam Darnold, right? And he went out there, and I'm wrong. I didn't think he was going to play that bad. Oh my God. I thought that, it's wild to see, in the face of pressure, he was seeing ghosts. I thought that his play was subpar, and the Rams and the Lions cost Sam Darnold $100 million. $100 million. I think he was on the verge of making a contract and making some noise. But here's the problem. There's layers to this, right? He's a guy that you can win games with in the regular season, but you probably aren't going to see him rally to win big games unless the scenario is perfect. So here's the tough part. You're Sam Darnold. You can play. Maybe a team that needs a quarterback, he's going to be up there in regards to being ranked as somebody that had a good year. I think he's system-based. he should stay with the Vikings if they offer him a reasonable amount. But now that you've seen the last 2 games with more information, it would behoove probably the Vikings to go to JJ McCarthy. You realize, look, I think that if you want to, it's tough because you got to sell to this fan base that you want to win. I think that, in essence, when we were talking about Jared Goff as a bridge quarterback, it actually applies to Sam Darnold. He's a nice bridge from, where you were to where you can go with JJ McCarthy. But right now with those 2 performances, he turned the ball over. He looked scared. It was wild. Like you would have thought he would have taken a step up. Instead, he went backwards. And I think that's what everybody saw is that, hey, it's collective. It's a team game. But I think the narrative and the talk now is, okay, you're not going to pay him $55 million. It's just not worth it. If he takes a little bit of a discount, if he takes a Baker Mayfield deal, I would stay. If you're Sam Darnold, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take 3 years at 90 and take the 90 million guaranteed and call it a day. But the 55 million, the $200 million contract, that's out the window. You say if you can stay another year or 2, mentor JJ McCarthy, and that's a win-win for everybody involved. But man, that it's unfortunate. You don't like to see people fall flat on their face. But as a fan of the Lions, it's hilarious as all hell that the Vikings won that many games. And all you can say about the Vikings, factually, FRAUD, fraud, baby.
Hey, Doc, I'm going to put you on the spot here with this question because I don't know if you've seen it yet because it came out literally just before the show started. And I'm really, what I'm doing for you here, Doc, I'm throwing an oop to you for a story here. Maybe you throw crunch time in the story. I don't know. It got released though. Dan Orlovsky, I saw him tweet it out literally as soon as the show started. He did his top 5 or top 4 wide receiver cores, or you could even say weapons, but wide receiver cores in the NFC North. And he included tight ends as well. He had number 1, the Green Bay Packers, number 2, the Minnesota Vikings, number 3, the Chicago Bears, and he had the Detroit Lions as the at the bottom of the NFC North in his wide receiver rankings, including tight ends. I think it's blasphemy, as Stephen A. Smith would say. What are your thoughts on that? And kind of, I'll say this, at least in my opinion, maybe you have your own opinion. The kind of disrespect there, it seems, with Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Laporta, and those guys there. At least that's what I take out of it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so someone uncovered and went and pulled receipts from Dan from what he said prior to the year starting.
I saw him tweet it out. He tweeted it out today.
He acknowledged his own mistake.
I don't know if it was him. I don't know if he acknowledged it. I can pull it up. But hey, I'm just saying, hey, this is a good article for you, Doc. I'm trying to.
Yeah, no, I want the facts because I'm not going to credit you. I'm just going to say it's my idea. Are you kidding me? That's the way. Isn't that the way of the world?
Crazy, Doc.
You just take stuff and not credit people. I don't know. That's what people do. I figured I just might do it, but
it's trendy.
I'm just kidding.
To be honest, I don't think you tweeted it out. I can't find it, but I saw a tweet today and I took the screen grab of it and I posted it. It was a Dan O tweet. I don't know when he tweeted it. But
no, it
could have been a year ago now. Now that I'm thinking about it. I might have put him on blast on Twitter.
Fake news Booner, right? Well, okay. Supposedly, based on your supposed fake true story, I understand because I've seen some of the debates. People are like Addison and Jefferson are better. Who would you rather have, St. Brown or J-Mo versus Addison and Jefferson? All that I understand. And people understand name value and all that kind of stuff. But right now, clear as day, Lions in the system that they have with Ben Johnson calling the routes, the hunger, the perfect combination of the speed and accuracy and the route running of J-Mo and the sure-handedness and the unbelievable all-world blocking and great play of Amon-Ra St. Brown, you would be hard-pressed to make an argument that you wouldn't want those two leading. If you're a quarterback, you would be thrilled to have those two guys staring at you in a huddle any opportunity that you have. They've gained respect, and it's tougher, though, too, because we're sitting here now. We've seen what J-Mo was. Remember, at the beginning of the year when there's polls and stuff like that, it's just more off of name recognition. And J-Mo, remember, still was unproven. He got better. And another reason why the Lions have gotten better, and part of the reason that was in that 3-part feature was, 1, they drafted well, but 2, And this is something that the Pistons are doing.
Hell
The
yeah.
big D word. Not that one.
Oh,
Development. They're developing the people that are in that building. They come in and theoretically, and I wish I was more focused on it in terms of the numbers, but from the time I grew up, players would come to Detroit and just get worse. It was like a retirement facility. Like you'd come get your $1 million paycheck and then you'd fall off the face of the earth. Like you would not get better as a football player. The last 5 years with Brad Holmes, football players in large numbers in Detroit have gotten better. And it's development. It's amazing. And Jameson Williams developed from September until now into a more physical runner, somebody more confident, and he understands exactly his route responsibilities, the depth, and that comes through practice. That was not going to, that was still going to be a question mark at the beginning of the year. But right now, we want this version of JMO. We want this version of Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's amazing, and it's something that is an amazing thing to see what this offense did. What, fourth highest scoring offense in the history of the NFL? Points galore. They scored 40 points like it was going out of style. It was, astronomical, the sheer impact of that offense, the records that they set, the number of first downs, touchdowns. Oof, it was just amazing and remarkable, the offensive numbers they put up this year.
Well, we got some member questions coming in. Unless you want to go, Klotz, either one. We want to
just kind of real quick, Doc. You were talking about development. Somewhere there's been nowhere of that is Chicago, and you kind of brought up the point. You don't think Ben Johnson's going there. Who do you think will be the next head coach of the Bears if you had to pick one?
Yeah. What's crazy too is there are NFL teams that everyone knows are run badly, and they still run their shit badly. You're Dallas. You don't want to give Mike McCarthy a contract. Well, why wouldn't you want to get in the Ben Johnson sweepstakes? Like, why wouldn't you want to talk to him now? The official rule is now Ben can't talk to nobody until after the Lions season. Officially. Tom Brady, officially he can't talk to anybody right now. But in the end, the Jets and the Cowboys and the Bears are just franchises that do stuff that people that leave you scratching their head. Like, why are you running it this way? It's unbelievable. Poverty franchises stay poverty. And, maybe Dallas will hire Robert Saleh. Maybe they'll go after Dion if they want to make a splash. The Bears, it's perfect for Mike McCarthy. McCarthy developed Aaron Rodgers. McCarthy's a winner. You can win games. And sometimes you hate to say it for people because McCarthy's in his 60s. If you're looking for a bridge coach, just someone to help your organization learn how to win, that's the guy. That's the guy that makes noise. He understands the NFC North. He understands quarterback development. He would fit perfectly with them. So for the Bears, here's the free advice. Hire Mike McCarthy and walk away. Don't meddle. Let him get 5 years, and they'll be competitive. And then it takes a little bit of luck in drafting to be able to go from consistent playoff appearances in the playoffs to Super Bowl winner. Caleb's got what it takes. I think Mike McCarthy is the perfect coach there. I think Vegas goes with Ben Johnson. The Jaguars will be unique. They may end up getting Saleh because of his ties there. We'll see. But it'll be interesting to see how these coaching vacancies shake out. I'm definitely curious if Deion Sanders shows up with Dallas. That would be fun to see that circus. It's like circus galore. A circus with Jerry Jones, and then you got Deion Sanders, who's all about him. It would be fun as hell. I would love to see it. Just root for NFL, root for clicks. That'd be amazing.
Well, Doc, we got some questions here. We'll start. Ball don't lie. Question for Doc. Who do you think wins the AFC?
Man, I can't wait. Maybe I'm hoping this game lives up to the billing. Bills-Ravens winner. Good chance to have some momentum to get out of the AFC. I'm curious to see how the time off will impact KC against Houston. Should be an easy advance there. But I like the winner of the Bills-Ravens game. Ravens seem really strong in terms of Lamar Jackson. You got to see what he brings to the table. I think it favors the Buffalo Bills at this point in time with Josh Allen. So right now, you ask me, I think it's Buffalo Bills.
Next question, Lion King says, Doc, we've seen improvement in Levi O. Who's your most improved Lion?
Great question.
Yeah, very good question. Like we said, we talked about development. You looked at it and you saw, I think the answer is Jahmyr Gibbs. I think from where he was to where he is now, I think he's more confident. I think he's a great runner, better in blocking. You saw, and you remember too, Scotty Montgomery kept saying, it's coming, it's coming. The big explosive plays, they're coming. He's one move away. And Dan Campbell would say it too. He's like, we are, just a hair of a block away from more explosive plays. And then when it came, when the opportunities presented themselves for Jahmyr Gibbs to hit the holes and get to the second level, my God, he just took advantage. And you hate to see an injury happen to David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs picked up the ball and ran with it. I look at it from the other side. I wouldn't say that he's like significantly improved, but great asset to the defense. Amik Robertson, underrated. I think that he is a player that just wanted an opportunity. Injury gave it to him, and it showcased too. Another reason why the Lions won was when they asked some people to step up, they were able to. You go back and watch that performance. What he did against Jefferson, it was really special, and he acted like a number one cornerback, and that's what we've always seen. A shutdown cornerback. Awesome to see. And I think Amik Robertson, that's why he wanted to come here. He wanted to learn and develop and go from where he was to where he is now. He's also developed too and honed in his craft.
Rookie move, Hefe.
How about that? Wheezy D says, why KOC not on the hot seat? Missing Darrisaw finally caught up to him.
Yeah. Look, you win that many regular season games, you're a coach that people definitely have a lot of respect for. He's got a great offensive mind. I think that the idea is that, the plan was probably for McCarthy to probably play and Darnold was going to be the backup. And remember how that shook out, that J.J. McCarthy got hurt. So, and there was probably a chance McCarthy would have had a good, he was starting to zing the football a little bit. He might have been the starter. So it was a situation in which Darnold got an opportunity and he took advantage of it. And remember too, that their draft pick, when you have a draft pick go down to injury, you're viewed a little bit in a better spot. But, it's always intriguing too. I don't want to open the subject now, but it is true because Mike Tomlin is a winner. He gets to the postseason every year, doesn't have a losing season, but can't get over the hump. How would the Lions fans feel if the Lions get to the NFC title game and lose, get to the Super Bowl and lose, get to the playoffs every year, but can't get over the hump? Would the Lions accept that with Dan Campbell? Is Dan Campbell a bridge coach? I don't think so. I think he will break through, but what if they don't? Like, are you going to stay loyal to Dan Campbell forever? I'd like to think so, but what happens if it's so difficult to climb that mountain and to stay there? So I think that the fine line between being a winner and finding better and then falling off the face of the map, it's a very thin line. So I think he's a good coach, and he's still young, got room to grow. That's why he is injuries caught up to the Vikings, and I do think that he as a play caller can also get better too. And then hopefully JJ McCarthy, because in the end, for a lot of coaches, who you decide to invest in at quarterback will determine your fate.
Well, great stuff as always, Doc. We appreciate you. You got a big weekend this weekend. You've been crushing it. Go ahead.
Score prediction, Doc. You can't leave us hanging. I need a score prediction.
You weren't tapped in. He gave it already. He gave a score prediction already.
Yeah, 30-20, baby. I think it's,
okay.
I think the Lions, great teams cover. I think the Lions give everybody a great read. It's going to be a party. I'm definitely going to have my headphones on. My ears will be ringing. Primetime game. It's going to be fun. Thank you, chat. I thought the chat this week was the best chat comments I've seen in a long time. You guys were into it. Maybe I stepped up my game. Maybe the lack of alcohol. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I dropped 12 pounds in the last.
Yeah,
are you serious?
The video views are off the chart. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to take my appearance very seriously, my health. So the goal this year is just more of the same. I'm doing appearances more interviews, more talks about the Lions. I truly believe that Lions on SI is a valuable free place where fans can come and learn about the Lions for free and inside information and stuff like that. And you guys have helped me. And so I am trying to improve my health at 45 years old. I'm now entering my prime, just starting. And if that's what I did in 24, entering my prime just before, what's going to happen when I hit my prime? It's going to be great. And you guys will be along for the ride too. I can't wait to report more. I got a taste of what it was like to report this year the way I wanted to, and it turned out great. I want more. I want definitely more.
There you go. The
Josh,
Doc. Join us.
Josh.
Check him out. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. Joins the boys every Wednesday.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Doc, you're the GOAT. We love you.
Appreciate you, boys. Let's talk next week.
All right, go Lions, Doc.
Mr. John Maakaron. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring as always. And for those who are tuning in, appreciate you all. Tomorrow, huge guest. So you're going to want to tune into that show. We got Tom Grassi joining, and he's a huge figure in this space. It's going to be great. He's joined the boys once before, but tomorrow he'll be on. So you're not going to want to miss that one. I'll just say that. I'm ready for it, boys. I'm
pumped up, ready to roll.
Talk some ish about the Packers too. There's a lot of Packers. There was people even going into playoff time. They were like, Packers.
I had the Packers beating the Eagles.
That's a team you don't want to play. I mean, Jordan Love can get hot in any moment. And Jordan Love, I was a guy that was saying, I'll own it. Like I said, this will be the year Jordan Love becomes better than Jared Goff. Look like a fool, no doubt. But, I mean, Jordan Love is talented. But I said it last week, like, he had like a Geno Smith type of year. Got that bag, got that money, and kind of regressed a little bit. I understand he was hurt. But through the whole season, you never really saw one game from Jordan Love where you're like, wow, this guy's Aaron Rodgers. This guy's Brett Favre. Obviously different, but to that level. So
I'm excited to hear what
it's a big year for Jordan Love next year.
I'm excited to hear what Grassi has to say about this whole thing going on in Green Bay. There's been a lot the last 7 days. The Doc, hey Doc, you have an emo. It's in there.
Yeah. No, we got to get it. Clickbait and. Yeah. Doc with like holding the glass, like something. I gotta talk to Roman about that.
Hey, Doc's got an emo with a nice hat on.
Yeah. You're right. Do you see Kay Adams ask Devontae about returning to Green Bay? I'm not gonna lie. Looking at objectively, Green Bay does need a true number one receiver. They just have a bunch of number twos, man. That's what
I guess, but that's like one of the things where it's like Devontae Adams, huge Devontae Adams guy. The Packers do not need a touch or wide receiver core. Like, yeah, they could use a true one, but they need to figure things out on that offensive line. They need to figure out on things on that defense as a whole. Jay Alexander might be leaving. They have Keyshawn Mixon as a cornerback, but he's a nickel guy. You need somebody on the outside when you have Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo. Like, the wide receivers in this division are nuts. So I think the Packers, if they go ahead and add Devontae Adams, great. You're adding up some more cap space too. They need to go get more talent just on both sides of the ball. Like, I don't think that's a huge needle mover. Like, as a Lions fan, at least, I'm not like, Devontae Adams back with the Packers. Like, we've seen this movie before, and they weren't winning Super Bowls with them. So I don't think that puts them really that much farther in contention mode.
No, by the way, I have the picture you were talking about. This is from, it could be last year. This could be from last year.
It's confirmed. It was August. Dano put this out.
Still
not a good, did not age very well, the NFC North receiving rankings. And he did tweet out too in the original tweet in August 14th, 2024. He did say tight ends were included. Bad take though from Dano. Bad take. He probably knows it now. I had to put a disclaimer on our Twitter in case Dano tried to come at us for a second. But hey, you put stuff out there. I mean,
it's out there.
Jeff, you and I put the Jags in the playoffs this year. How did that work for us? Like, people can screenshot and throw that up. So
I'm just the Packers. Like, I'm surprised. Like, I would put the Vikings at one.
The Vikings,
like, without a doubt. At least
that was shocking.
This year, it's definitely different, especially if you're adding in running backs and all that. Like, it's not even close. But to have the Packers, Tucker.
Well, you're not no running backs. You're it's wide receivers and tight end.
Gotcha. Either way.
After the year, I would take the Lions second. I would take they're right there with the Vikings.
Yeah.
I don't care. Yeah. Right now. Mm-hmm. All right. We got one question. Drop your questions, by the way. Bell line.
Mailbags. Come on.
Top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC. No order.
Are we going with or without situation, or are we just going individual quarterbacks?
No, just quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks,
okay.
yeah.
I'll probably go
5 guys.
I'll go
No order?
Stafford.
No order.
Goff.
Yeah, we're not going to order.
Yeah. Stafford, Goff. Honestly, it might sound crazy. I'm gonna put Baker in the top 5. He's not top
Don't hate
3.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels definitely gonna be in there. Need one more.
The last one, I mean, you could
It's
make
like Hurts, Purdy.
I would probably go Jalen Hurts. My opinion. I would go Jalen Hurts. That would be he would be my top. I just don't know.
I'm going to be just, we're going again, not situation, just quarterback.
Just quarterback. Yeah.
I would take,
He's gonna. I know who he's gonna.
Dak
say.
Prescott over Jalen Hurts. I'll just say it. I'll say it.
Don't know,
I'll be the
man.
guy. I get it. It's not
I
trendy.
don't
It's not
know.
trendy. I get it. But let's be realistic here.
I was on the Dak train preseason.
Yeah. But he's a top.
I'll
If
never
we're
be
saying
a
he's a
Dak
top
guy.
15 guy, that has to line up. Like he's top. He's in that area. Because the
him
AFC
and
has,
Hurts
like,
are
how many
similar tier. I won't hate you on it, but I'm taking Jalen Hurts.
Okay. What about you, Boone? Similar? Okay. I don't know what just happened.
You cut out for a second, Boone.
I think you're
What,
just muted. Yeah, I would go Goff.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I would probably go the same as Klotz. I'd probably go Jalen Hurts. The Dak thing, I was a big on Dak. I guess if Dak's in the right situation, so in that sense, if you're taking situation out of it, Dak
just
would
quarterback.
In my case, like if I'm being consistent over the last year, Dak would make that cut for me. But yeah, I don't. It's a tough one. I think you go Hurts or Dak on that last.
What
guy.
about here's one: Kyler or Dak? Dak's definitely been in the better situation out of them.
I'm going Dak as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Me too.
Go Dak. And I don't think he's a world beater, guys, but we're going top 5 in a week. Honestly, a weak quarterback. Yeah, he's top 5. If he was in the AFC, he would be in the entire league. I think he's top 15. He's like anywhere from, like, if I was ranking Dak, like 11 to 15, somewhere in there.
Because I have made the argument with Dak that if he wasn't in Dallas, he's probably taken a team farther than he has in Dallas. Just like with Jerry Jones and everything that they've dealt with. Like, I just don't think he's been put in the best situation in Dallas. And that's my opinion, like coaching wise, like from top to bottom, just everything. I just think like when you look at it as a whole, that organization from coaches to ownership to some of the players getting hurt, just to everything that has transpired over the last 4 or 5 years there in Dallas, like Dak can sling the rock. He's I know sometimes he turns the ball over, but there are, if he gets put in the right situation, like say you give him a Ben Johnson, or you put him in. I'm not saying he would do better than Jared Goff, but you put him in a situation, one of the best in the NFL, he's going to go out there and win playoff games. In my opinion, that's where I'm at with Dak.
Yeah, because we're not going like we're not like, it's not about playoff success. We're just talking about quarterback.
Like if you think Dak's in Philly, they're having the same success, in my opinion. I do think they have the same success.
He would throw for more than $130 a game. I would say
he would have more than 30 passing yards in the first 2 quarters.
He would, definitely. And I don't want to make it sound like I think Jalen Hurts is bad. I think he's a good quarterback, but I think he's sometimes I do think people overrate him. I do. I really do believe that. But yeah, I mean, we all kind of have similar top 5s. So, I mean, I would probably have Dak in there, but I think Kyler Murray misses the cut. Guys like Derek Carr, obviously he's in there. I don't think he's in there. Trying to think.
Kyler's going to be.
Kyler, I think, is just on. He's on. To me, he's just there. He's like just outside. Yeah. I wouldn't put him.
If they get another wide receiver for him, I think he's there. They got Michael Wilson as wide receiver 2 with Greg Dortch.
He has 1,000-yard tight end and a generational wide receiver talent. Me and you both love.
He does. No,
and he doesn't even get him.
I'm not backing down from Marv whatsoever. Marv's going to go on to be a great wide receiver, but
I agree.
You need another piece in the NFL today. You need 2 wide receivers, especially if you're a quarterback like Kyler, who's not a world beater. You're with the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks, who are all loaded with talent, going out there with Michael Wilson as your wide receiver 2. Zay Jones was supposed to be the wide receiver 3. He got suspended, and you got Greg Dortch.
What did Justin Jefferson have coming in to the league? Like, who was his quarterback and who was next to him? Yeah.
He had, God, we got to go. I don't know if Thielen was still there. He had Kirk. Yeah. I'm trying to think I believe Thielen was still there. Yeah, because they traded away Stephon, and with the Stephon pick, they took Justin Jefferson.
You guys lost me.
And they had Dalvin Cook, too.
I'm lost with what's going on right now.
Yeah, I am, too. I was confused on where that was coming from.
What, me?
I just don't know how we
Justin
got even
Jefferson.
to the Vikings out of all of this.
Because he put up 1,400 as a rookie. That's my point.
Okay.
So like, what's the excuse there? Like Kyler Murray, I don't care. Like, it just, I don't know. I think he's great. Marvin Harrison's so great. So that's why I'm like with Kyler. It's like, I don't know. Not a huge Kyler guy, but whatever. It is what it is. It's still a gritty player.
Grit.
Yep.
Great Black Ops player.
All right. I saw Anakin said my mailbag question. Let me see.
Yeah, I've put a bunch of in there. If you go to
All
start.
right. Thanks. I thank you for that.
Hey, you need to have your head on a swivel. Court vision, Jeff Iafrate.
Patrick says mailbag favorite prop thus far for the game.
What was Amon-Ra's touchdown? Because I think that's a lot.
He was
minus 130, dude. It wasn't even worth it, to be honest. I mean, obviously, if it's a lot, but minus 130, you have to put a lot down to make some money. So that's a tough one. I mean, I probably, honestly, I don't want to give anything away for the show on Saturday night. I'll say this. I'm leaning towards Amon-Ra St. Brown props, not just his touchdown, but his props in general. That's a little sneak peek, I guess, of Saturday, what my bets will look like. I do like the Amon-Ra. I do like Jared Goff too. I think it's going to be a big game.
Jameer all-purpose, whatever.
Yeah, Jameer all-purpose, obviously, but like I just think like Jared Goff, and I think Amon-Ra gets going Saturday night. I don't think people are talking this whole Mikey Sanders still thing, and I'm a big Mikey fan. I think he's a great player, but I think there's just a level like I see Commanders fans tweeting out like, yeah, they're going to find out. Like, obviously, Mike Sanders still is a very good player in the NFL. He's going to be a Pro Bowler at some point in his career. Yeah. But like Amon-Ra St. Brown is back-to-back All-Pro seasons and Pro Bowl season. Like, he is one of the best in the NFL right now. He's literally a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL this year. Top 3. So there's no like, hey, find out who Mike. You're going to find out what Amon-Ra is really about. You haven't played us this year yet. I think he's going to have a big year or a big week.
Let's see. Anakin Mailbag. Who did you say the guest was for tomorrow? Didn't hear it. Tom Grossi. That is who's joining the show tomorrow. So yeah, he'll be joining the show tomorrow. Steve asked Mailbag random, but do you guys think a Lions player graces the cover of Madden next year? I hope not, because that means he'll get injured.
It'll be Saquon.
I think the curse has been broken. I think I could be wrong. I think either last year or the year before. I think I heard something or saw it on Twitter that the curse has been broken.
Who
hasn't Detroit at least? Kelvin got it. He went on the next season and had the most receiving yards.
There's no who declared it. It's if a player doesn't get hurt the next season, then the curse is there's no curse. The curse was every year it happened. No, you can't have a curse that's just like pick and choose. A curse is every year.
Klotzy just brought up.
So Kelvin broke it then. It's over. Yeah.
But it was still a thing after Kelvin. I mean, Christian McCaffrey got hurt.
Hold on. Let me see. Madden covers by year. Let's look this up. Let's look this up because I'm interested to see. I'm interested now.
The most iconic one is Peyton Hill is for sure.
I mean, Christian McCaffrey was this year. Josh Allen was last year. He had that shoulder injury. The curse might not be broken. John Madden, 2023. That was probably because RIP passed away. Patrick Mahomes in 2022. I think he went on to go win the Super Bowl.
Mahomes broke it.
It was Mahomes and Tom Brady.
3 years again.
So yeah. That's tough.
For a second, I saw John Madden, and at first, I was like, in my mind, instantly, it was like they put him on it, and then he died, and I was like, oh no! But they put him on it because he died. I thought it was the opposite way around. And I was like, no, the curse is really real.
Yeah, that's Steve Lewin did say 18 of the last 24 covers.
I'm not worried. Hey, are we
superstitious
here in Detroit? I mean, yes, I do wear the same stuff every game, but in my mind, Dan Campbell has broken a lot of different records. He's breaking the Madden curse.
Malik says, Mailbag, what teams could you see unexpectedly moving on from an already established quarterback within the next 2 to 3 seasons? Like a guy who's playing well right now, or just like teams in general? Because
I guess you got to look at contracts in that situation, right?
Like I would, like if it's not about guys playing, I would go Kirk Cousins. Like I think
Kirk's done.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but already established.
I can go through you want to go through the list here? Like Geno Smith is gone in a year or two.
I could see Jalen Hurts. I know he's on big money, but in a couple of years, like
Dak Prescott.
Dak's probably out of Dallas, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the guy I'd go.
I'm going by division here. So NFC East, probably Dak. NFC North, Vikings don't really have a quarterback. Honestly, you guys think like if Jordan Love keeps playing bad, like if he doesn't get over this hump, and he looks like he did the last couple games, Jordan Love in a couple years, if this continues, you would think that they like, hey, we probably should move on. Especially the Packers history. Derek Carr, obviously, Geno Smith gone at some point.
Baker will be
I think
gone.
Baker ends up staying a little bit, 2 or 3 more years. Maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm wrong with that.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's probably got like this year, next year, and then you got to draft somebody if you're not wanting to playoff, like going deep.
I think the Colts. I think Anthony Richardson's done there. I think maybe another year, but I just don't think he'll work out there, in my opinion.
No, you're right for that opinion.
What else do we have? Tua's probably done at some point. Yep, and that's probably it right now.
Trevor Lawrence.
I think Trevor's going to be fine.
Have that discussion, Jeff.
No, let's have Bryce Young. Bryce Young, I'll go Bryce Young over Trevor.
Bryce Young got his rookie contract. Had a great.
Yeah, but they got to extend at some point.
2 to 3. Let that thing run out. Let that thing run out.
He looked good. He looked good.
Got to extend at some point.
I bet.
That Adam Thielen effect.
I appreciate Adam Thielen.
I mean, what is that? That's unbelievable.
Appreciate all you for tuning in today, man. Shout out to the doc for joining. He's in the chat. He's having fun.
Imagine he had Amon-Ra.
But yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty good. You see, like Amon-Ra. We'll get to it. We'll get to it tomorrow. What is it? Dynami Brown. What's his name?
Diami.
Dynami. Yeah, Amon-Ra. He was drafted in front of him. Don't forget that this Saturday. It's gonna be tough. We'll be back tomorrow. Tom Grassi, Washington Commanders. A lot of that. It'll be a lot of fun. Appreciate all you. Get your merchandise, officialcgsports.com. It's all available.
See you guys tomorrow. Love you guys.
Website. Get it for the playoffs. But till tomorrow, we will catch you all. Till then.
Peace.
Peace.